Ladies and gentlemen, good day and welcome to IRCTC Q4 FY21 Results Conference Call hosted by ICICI Securities Limited. As a reminder, all participants will be in the listen-only mode, and there will be an opportunity for you to ask questions after the presentation concludes. Should you need assistance during the conference call, please signal an operator by pressing star then 0 on your touchtone phone. Please note that this conference is being recorded. I now hand over the session to Mr. Anshuman Dev, Assistant Vice President, ICICI Securities Limited. Thank you, and over to you, sir.
Thanks, Malika. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It is an honor and privilege to host Indian Railways Catering and Tourism Corporation Limited, IRCTC, for their Q4 and FY21 results call. Representing the company, we have Srimati Rajni Hasija, Chairman and Managing Director, and Shri Ajit Kumar, Director Finance and CFO. We would request Honorable Chairman and Managing Director to start the session with her opening remarks, post which we will open the floor for Q&A. Thank you, and over to you, ma'am.
Thank you very much. A very good morning to everybody. I welcome you all to this con call of IRCTC Limited for the quarter and the year ended on 31st March 2021. I hope that you and your dear ones are safe in these challenging times of COVID, which has affected each and every quarter of our life. Yesterday, our company had announced the audited financial results for the fourth quarter and the year ended of fiscal 21, and same has been disclosed on both the stock exchanges too. We all know that the COVID-19, the pandemic, has had a severe impact on the Indian Railways operation and all our business segments. In fact, it has been the worst year for the tourism and hospitality business. However, despite all the headwinds and challenges, IRCTC has shown remarkable improvement in its operation and financial operations. That will be evident from our results. If we compare Q1 with Q2 and Q3 and Q4, there has been a consistent improvement. I shall now hand over the con call to our Director of Finance and CFO, Shri Ajit Kumar, who will provide you details of the quarter and year ended results for the fiscal 2021 fourth, which we shall have a question answer session with you all. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. This is, of course, in the pandemic times, whatever the best we have been able to achieve, so that we have tried, and this financial figures is here like this. The Q4 FY21 revenue was at rupees 339 crores and saw a sharp improvement of 51% quarter on quarter. On a year on year, it continued to face the headwinds of the pandemic. EBITDA margin came at 42.8%, which was another high, and saw an improvement of about 60 bps quarter on quarter. On a year on year basis, the EBITDA margin was much higher than 34.4% in Q4 FY20. Net profit before exceptional items was at rupees 107 crores, which implies a growth of around 36% QOQ and a decline of 29% YOY. For FY21, revenue came at rupees 783 crores, which is a decline of course 66% Y on Y, and EBITDA margin came at 24.3% versus 31.4% YOY, and net profit before exceptional items came at rupees 150 crores versus of course rupees 527 crores year on year basis. Let me now move to the business segments of the company. The number one will be of course the internet ticketing. The internet ticketing has been the most resilient business segment in these challenging times. The Q4 FY21 revenue internet ticketing came at rupees 212 crores, that is an increase of 48% Q on Q, and decline of just 7% Y-on-Y. The EBIT margin for the segment also saw sharp improvement QOQ to 83.3%. In catering segment, as discussed in our previous earnings call, has been severely hit by the pandemic. While the revenue for the segment has been improving Q-on-Q basis, however, it continues to be lower on year-on-year basis. For Q4 FY21, it was rupees 67 crore and then minus 75% year-on-year basis. As discussed earlier, this segment has seen restrictions like only ready to eat and no cooked food are allowed on board, or sealed packed meals being allowed, or meals to be ordered through e-catering, versus the earlier one, that is the pre-cooked meals being served in the pre-pandemic era. However, the company has been able to reduce the losses both on absolute basis and EBIT margin level. The next segment is tourism segment. Of course, it's worldwide. This effect is there that this has seen the most severe hit of the pandemic for us as well as for the industry. The Q4 FY21 revenue, though more than doubled Q-on-Q to rupees 32 crore, it is still 80% lower than Q4 FY20. This has, of course, had its impact on the profitability of the segment. Now, Rail Neer, the next segment, has also seen QOQ improvement throughout the year. Just after the one month it started unlocking, and so therefore this earnings started here. In Q4 FY21, its revenue improved by 64% QOQ to rupees 278 million. For Q4 FY21, the capex was 46 crore, and for FY21 it has been 73 crore. The company continues to have a strong balance sheet with a net cash of rupees 1,460 crore and net worth of rupees 1,466 crore. Q1 FY22 has again seen the surge in COVID-19 infection, and the same has been brought under control. We have also seen significant improvement in vaccination. However, the third wave of infection and the impact of same still remains uncertain. At IRCTC, we will fight the tough situation as we have done in FY21, and I am confident that we could come out of even stronger. We can now move to the question and answer session. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We will now begin the question and answer session. Anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and 1 on the touchtone telephone. If you wish to remove yourself from the question queue, you may press star and 2. Participants are requested to use handsets while asking a question. Ladies and gentlemen, we will wait for a moment while the question queue assembles. Participants, to ask a question, you may press star and 1 now. We would like to remind participants that you may press star 1 to ask a question.
Now, 28% is already joined.
The first question is from the line of Jinesh Joshi from Prabhudas Lilladher. Please go ahead.
Thanks for the opportunity. 2 questions. Sir, first, can you help us what is the convenience revenue and number of tickets booked in FY21?
The ticket booked in the year 2021 were around 1,740 lakh tickets have been booked, which is almost 50% of the ticket that we had booked in the previous year.
And what is the convenience revenue?
Convenience fee that we have realized in the year 2021 was around 299 crores.
Okay, madam. And secondly, if I look at our 4Q numbers with respect to the tourism division, then what I see is that the EBIT loss is higher than the revenue. So is there any element of one-off here? And secondly, if I understand correctly, majority of our receivables pertains to catering. So while our catering revenues have gone down from 1,000 crores or to approximately 220 crores in FY21, the quantum of fall in receivables is not that high. So how should we be reading into this?
I'll answer your second question first. You said your trade receivables have gone down and the rate is not in commensuration with the revenue earned. Actually, both cannot be compared because the trade receivable which you were saying since at the closure of the last year fiscal was around 777 crores. This was including all the trade receivables of the previous years also. So this year, for the first time, we have, since there was no accumulation of the other areas, so IRCTC focused on decreasing the trade receivable and realized old outstanding dues from the railways. So the reduction level will be different, although it is very hard and we improved by 30% or so. And while the revenues of the catering have gone, is almost 22% of the, you can say, of the previous years, so it is not in commensuration with these because both cannot be compared. Most of our trade receivables from the railways have been in the catering segment. Majority of them, rather 90% of them are from the catering segment. Yes, but the total figure of the trade receivable also includes every segment. So both cannot be compared. This is the outstanding of the previous year. The revenue generation is affected because of the COVID and the pattern of the business and the pattern of the travel. Because in the first quarter we didn't have any train and we showed for the first time we showed a loss. In the second quarter we had trains introduced. Third quarter number of trains further improved. Fourth quarter initially the train number reduced, then they were increased. Because April was very bad. April and May though were bad, but till March we could get more trains.
Oh, okay, madam. And that tourism part, if you can answer.
More than the revenue.
I could not follow
The EBIT loss is higher than the revenue reported.
because of the prepaid traffic, which we used to have earlier. If we see the catering segment, our earlier sales from the prepaid segment used to be around 500 crores, which is not there now. And since you are asking about the tourism, in tourism many segments like Maharaja, State Tirth, they never moved. And this air ticketing also fall. Then various train operations could not happen. All our rail-based tourism was put to an halt, almost halt. It is only in the January we picked up a bit.
Okay, madam.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Urmil Shah from Haitong Securities. Please go ahead.
Good afternoon, madam, and thanks for the opportunity. Madam, the first question was on the non-service charge revenue within internet ticketing. We've done a commendable job at a time when the volume decline has been severe. So just wanted you to throw some light as regards the different subsegments of the non-service charge revenue and outlook for FY22 and 23.
In 2021, the total revenue from the internet segment has been around 448 crores. Although this is 27% lesser as compared to the previous years because of the less number of trains being operated and the number of passengers booked have reduced to half. The share of the convenience fee in this 448 crores has been to the tune of 66%, that is 299 crores. And rest of the segment is non-service charge or non-convenience fee, like 33 point something percentage from that segment. Out of which annual maintenance of different schemes and annual other API integration charges amounts to around 100 crores, and other businesses like loyalty cards, etc. Was there. So 66 was the contribution of convenience fee, rest is the other businesses in the internet ticketing segment. The promotional schemes and the other schemes could not take off well because the advertising agency was seeing a very dull phase, and not many advertisers were ready to go through the Google DFP tool also, where the rates were made highly reasonable, very competitive. Rest of the revenue, like annual maintenance, etc., some leverage was also given to our licensees, to our service providers and partners, because for 2 months they could not do any booking, so those charges were adjusted also. This has impacted the overall contribution in that segment also.
Sure. Ma'am, specifically, if you could help with the income from, our own payment gateway and on as regards the advertisement income for this year.
You mean to say iPay, right?
Yeah, iPay. Yes, ma'am.
So the iPay income contribution has been around 7%. Yeah, it is I'll give you the right figure. Give me 1 minute.
Yes, ma'am.
15. It is around 15 crores this year we have received from iPay.
As compared last year, 28.
Last year we had received around 28 crores.
Sure. And ma'am, the same number for advertisement for this year?
The advertising revenue has from SMS, it has been a very less. It is I think put together it is around 9.78 crores advertising revenue. That is inclusive of all banner, SMS advertisements, government advertisements, non-government advertisements put together all.
Sure. Ma'am, I just wanted an understanding on the a margin profile of iPay. So there would be a combination of MG plus revenue share. So if we look at FY 22 and 23, where there would be a normalization as regards the volume on our network, what will be the kind of revenue share that will have to be done with the partner?
So actually the revenue sharing along with the partner transaction, we should understand the business in totality. First is that in the UPI there is no share. UPI payments happening through iPay does not have any share. And when debit card, few debit cards have, and any payment below 2000 also does not have share. So after that, whatever is left, there is a sharing of around 40-60 for the iPay between us and the party, our partner. So you can say the commission received from iPay, that it includes the transaction charges from the customer and the commission from the bank. Commission and sharing, we share with our partner the interchange commission that we share with the bank also. First bank takes, after deducting the bank's amount, whatever is left, it is shared 50-50 between two of us.
Sure. And ma'am, what would be the share of UPI transactions? Because I believe this year the proportion of non-AC volume would have been higher. So how has the share of UPI moved?
24%. 24.18%. The total ticket being booked through our website through UPI handle is 24%. Debit card is around 22%. So more than 40% is gone without transaction charges share. So rest, we earn revenue on the net banking, credit card, auto pay, Bharat QR also has some money like that.
Sure. Ma'am, I was asking the UPI share in the number of tickets booked overall.
It is around 420.78 lakhs out of this 1700 tickets. 1700 tickets, 24% I said.
24%. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Ma'am, last question was, now that the catering was allowed during the Q4 e-catering I'm referring to, and we had talked about we looking at tie-ups with the aggregators. If you could comment on how has the traction been on e-catering, and how are the talks with the aggregators going on for onboarding it to our platform?
Are you specifically asking about e-catering, or you are asking in general about the catering, Urmilji?
Ma'am, I'm asking about e-catering only.
Right. So in the case of our e-catering, we have made certain changes in our policy in the aggregator model also. Fortunately, in the e-catering, we are also, we have done a few new tie-ups, and we have increased our commission from 12% to 15% marginally. So there is going to be some benefit, and booking through e-catering is going up. Very recently, we have opened booking of e-catering food through our B2C partners also. Ixigo, MMT, and MobiKwik, and two other, I think three, four other lead partners of B2C business have opened e-catering for us. So this has given us some increase, and when initially we started, we were booking around 1,000 meals, etc. Gradually from 1,000 meals, now on the holiday, we have reached up to 12,000 or 11,000 meals also. Although the number of a ticket being booked is almost 50% that we were booking earlier, so I can say that we are about to reach the pre-COVID level very soon. If this trend goes on, because more and more B2C partners are going up. So we are finding some light in the e-catering.
Sure, ma'am. Many thanks for the explanation. I'll come back for follow-up. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Rahul Jain from Dolat Capital. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi. Ma'am, firstly, if you could tell us in terms of what is the status of number of trains operational at the end of March, and what is the status today, and similarly on the number of food units that are operational at the end of March and as of today, approximation.
See, you had asked about the number of trains, and what was your second question?
Number of food units and pantry cars.
Food units and pantry car. So, pre-COVID, we had 417 pantry cars operational. Now we have around more than, I think, 250 pantry cars are operating. But this number is very dynamic, because the trains being announced, these are special trains, and it is of a very lesser frequency, 2 months, 3 months. The number of our trains are changing very fast also. So the number I may be telling you now may not be there tomorrow.
Yeah, understand. And this 250 is as of June, or this is, you're saying, of March?
This is as on date.
Okay, and this
March,
250
I
number...
don't have figure rightly available at once.
Okay, and overall train basis, number of train basis?
Even if there is not a pantry car is not there, we still have a train side vending, and we still have a train side vending contracts on these trains. So no train is being left alone without a contract. Each train is a revenue for us.
Right. So the total number of trains which were operational in March and versus now?
Number of trains.
Oh.
Plus minus 10%, 20%.
Yeah, plus you can say it has increased by 20%. We are above from the March. Because recently 800 trains, more trains were announced, and gradually we are getting trains in a phased manner. Initially we got 130 trains, then we got 140 trains. It is being increased every month, every week.
Yes, so 800 is the recent most status, and this is 20% higher than March status.
Yes.
Okay. And in the catering business, wherever we are coming up for renewal, what are the like-for-like revenue we are collecting? Let's assume there is a renewal for Chennai station. So what was the license fee on an average they were paying pre-COVID versus what is the percent today?
See, in many, COVID has not ended fully. Footfall at the station has not gone up by at pre-COVID levels also. So the trains, only the reserved segment travel is permitted other than the suburban traffic. So many of the stations are not having adequate footfall. So food plaza and FFU units are being operated at a reduced license fee. Incremental increase in the license fee that happens normally annually will happen after I think 2-3 months when the footfall is restored to normalcy. Because first, when the units were closed by the state, the dies non period starts, and after in the dies non period you have to hold hand of licensee so that he is able to fulfill the obligations, contractual obligations. Just to provide services to the customers, they were persuaded to open all the units at a reduced license fee. Now, today, that period is ending today. Today, we are going to decide how much license fee they will be working, because the footfall at the station has not reverted back to pre-COVID levels yet. And the total number of a passenger, though, in the reserved segment is more. But unreserved, because at station, sale through food to units is happening through the unreserved segment also. That is not there. So desired footfall is not there for them. So we have to work with them on a reduced license fee. Increment will happen once normalization is restored.
Right. And on the tourism side, are losses even on a quarter-to-quarter basis, what I mean to say Q3 21 versus what it is today, it has increased from 11 crore to 42 crore. So is it because we started the Tejas operation and also the Golden Chariot which was started during this quarter? Is it some one-time expenses we have incurred towards Golden Chariot marketing or refurbishment or for Tejas, which has resulted in 30 crore higher losses on a QOQ basis?
Over 28 crore of Tejas and Mahakal.
Oh, that is because of the provisioning made. See, during COVID period, the Tejas and Mahakal operations were cancelled like other trains. But unfortunately, somehow we have been asked to, the provisioning was made for the fixed charges. Like some fixed charges are to be paid for the operation of these Tejas and Mahakal, because we have taken these rates on lease from railways. There are fixed charges for that. But since the operation was not happening, we have represented to Ministry of Railways for waiver of these charges. This is under consideration. Because liaison period as is applicable for the normal licenses is applicable for IRCTC as well. So we have represented, we were given some relief initially, but that relief was not in commensuration with the total amount charged. So we have represented again to railways. So we have made provisioning for that. Maybe once we get the approval, this will be counted in the revenue in the next quarter.
Right. So out of this 44 crore losses, what is this provisioning, and is it for the full year instead of one quarter?
28 crores is the provisioning, sir.
Okay, and this is for more than 3 months, which we have done in this quarter.
Actually, it was for the entire year.
Okay, so basically in the earlier period, we were not assuming this as a cost, and that we have accounted in this quarter.
It was entering as a cost, but when we started Tejas, in the first 6 months in 1920, we have already built in and we have paid to the railways also, this cost.
Right.
And that was in our expenditure. But unfortunately in 2021, in the beginning of 2021, Tejas had to be cancelled.
Right.
So that is why you can see it very categorically, that the trains were not being operated, and which is there in our footmarks also. That provisioning for 28 crores has been made this year. The document that we have submitted to stock exchange.
So basically this 28 crore amounts to the leasing charges for period of January till March.
Leasing charges and the fixed haulage charge.
Okay, this is only amounting for 1 quarter only.
No, sir, it is for the entire year. For non-operating year, for which we were told to pay by Ministry of Railways.
Okay, this was the total quantum for the full year.
Yes.
Earlier, the fixed lease charges and haulage charges were not expensed during the quarter, and that's why all of them have accumulated to 28
Yes.
crores, which is charged in this quarter.
Yes.
And any significant spend we have done on this golden chariot during the quarter?
Golden Chariot, most of the marketing was done by local offices. It's only the digital marketing we did. No paper advertisement, nothing we did. We have not resorted to any press releases other than Bharat Darshan, where we had a very petty, we have done a very petty expenditure. In fact, we had our total expenditure on the marketing would not have crossed even 1 crore.
Right. So now,
We spent mostly on digital media. We hardly spend on print media.
right, just to get the understanding. So in this quarter, when we report the April, May, June quarter, the losses in this period should more be on lines of what we saw in Q3, because this one-time 28 crore thing will not be there. So it will be reduced by this amount in the subsequent quarter.
Yes, it may be reduced in the first quarter or second quarter this year. If we get approval from the moment we get approval from Ministry of Railways, for which we are working very hard, we have also presented that our case very in a very coordinated manner, and they appear to be very much convinced. So see when we get the letter.
Much appreciated, ma'am. Thank you. That's it from my side.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Urmil Shah from Haitong Securities. Please go ahead.
Thank you, ma'am, for the follow-up. I'm not sure whether it is the right time to, discuss on that, but just wanted the thoughts on the train privatization program. Last quarter we had said that the process is getting delayed. So one, an update on the same, and is there any update on our plan for a JV or leasing out option?
See, the date of submission of RFP has been extended from 30th June to 23rd of July. First is this. Secondly, IRCTC was very much in the race. I told you that I had told earlier in the earlier conferences also that IRCTC has been qualified for almost 11 clusters, except for the Bangalore cluster. 10 clusters because Hyderabad we did not apply. Our stand remains the same. We are in process of getting our partner. There's slight change in our strategy because now we are looking for a strategic partner who can go ahead with us for more than other trains, for all such kind of operations happening in the future. So expression of interest for that is already out, and the date for closure of that RFP is going to be around 2nd July. It's 2nd July we are closing that, and we are also in talk with many rolling stock providers and other financial houses so that we can find a partner who can spend some money. As you can see that there is some change in our segmental revenue also. So we have to find out a partner first to go ahead in this tender so that we can participate in more clusters.
Sure. Ma'am, did I understand it correct that you are looking at a partner who can participate in this league of privatization and also on other operations like the Tejas trains, etc.?
It is a strategic tie-up. It is a strategic tie-up where we are looking a partnership person for who can spend some equity in the company. Though we have reserves, but we can't spend it all. Otherwise, our development will come to a halt. So we need to have a person, and we shall be forming a SPV or JV subsequently. Right now, SPV is on the card.
Sure. Ma'am, just last thing was on the bus ticketing business. Has that seen a pickup to be talked of, or we'll have to wait for one things to normalize and our volume also to augment, which might happen during the year?
See, if you see the previous year, 2020, the number of tickets booked had reduced to half. In April, it further reduced for few days because many trains were cancelled. May picked up a bit, but in June, there has been a very good increase. On few days, we were booking around close to 10 lakh tickets in a day. So I can say the trend is very positive with the more trains being introduced and the 2S class being there. The internet booking in June has been much better than the previous year. Of course, previous year we had COVID, and the previous June also.
Sure. My question was more on the bus ticketing business.
Bus ticketing. I'm sorry. I consider that as a railway ticketing. Bus ticketing has started picking up. Initially, there were hiccups when the lockdown happening because this is being driven by many state governments. It has started picking up. But the pace is very slow. I must say, pace is very slow. We are now planning a marketing along with our partners.
Sure. Thank you so much.
Right.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Richard D'Souza from State Bank of India Mutual Fund. Please go ahead.
Good morning, ma'am. Just a couple of questions from my side. I just want to know that currently you said that about 800 trains are operational somewhere in June. So pre-COVID, what were the peak number of trains operational?
I said the 800 number of trains were ordered that they will be operating. If I give you the correct figure, in the month of March, we had a total 430 contracts for the train, for the catering. And now we have around 450 train contracts available, and 100 such contracts are in the pipeline. So these are the catering contracts. But our revenue from trains is not only the catering revenue, it is the ticketing revenue also. So where the trains do not have pantry cars also, so if you multiply it by 2, so you can say around 950 or 1000 trains would be running. I'll give you the exact number before I close.
Yeah. I just wanted the number of.
I'll give you the exact number.
Yeah, ma'am. I just wanted the number of trains which are operational for which ticketing is being done.
Okay, I'll get you the number.
Let's say pre-COVID peak and currently now in March and June. So that was one number if you could share. And the second thing is when we moved the reservations basically from unreserved to reserved, that S2 category. So how many coaches were added, or how much incremental tickets could be on offer?
I will give you the coaches that were added were of the 2S class, right? So in the 2S class, our booking is amounting to be in the year 2021. The percentage booking for this particular class has been to the tune of 36%. Which is slightly lesser than sleeper class, which is the highest, around 40%. So you can say the second class is now beating and matching with the sleeper class also. So the increment in the ticketing has been basically due to this and the number of trains.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. I'll come back later, and I would appreciate if you could share the number for the train.
Just wait for a while. I'll get you.
Yeah, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Varun Goenka from Nippon India Asset Management Company. Please go ahead.
Yes, good morning, ma'am, and thank you for covering it so well. So my question is around ticketing. We were doing around 32 crore tickets before pandemic hit us, FY20, I believe. If you could give a sense of what is the kind of ticketing opportunity we have for next 3-4 years, because there is a large non-PRS segment, a lot of unreserved category. So where this 32 crore tickets become over the few years when even normalization happens and government gives you more ticketing areas, opportunity related to managing the whole ticketing part.
Sorry to interrupt, Mr. Goenka. So there is a slight disturbance coming from your line. I request you to mute your line while the management answers your question.
Sure.
I would like to explain first that it is not only that the reserve ticketing that we are doing, we are assisting Indian Railways in the non-reserve segment also. Because the payment gateway in the non-reserve segment are being provided by IRCTC only. But it is kind of a social service where we are not getting any revenue. So it may not be of much importance to you. But whether we have been trying to get some share in the non-reserve segment also in the form of a convenience fee. But the amount of a ticket value is very, very low. So in order to promote the digital payments, Ministry of Railways has taken a call that service charges will not be there. It is only the bank charges that bank might be charging at their end. And at many places bank may not be charging because the transactions happening on these tickets are very low. So as of now, what I foresee that this 2S getting us the percentage of the 36% will be the determining factor in the years to come. So in the next 2 years, this 36% figure will vary up to 40, may go up to 40. That is my personal thinking. And the sleeper class also will go up because you would have seen that there is increase in the total traffic. Earlier we were booking around 72% of the Indian Railways ticket. This year we have booked around 80% of the Railways ticket, reserve segment. So this 8% increase in the overall ticketing, don't count by the number, overall percentage, the number of a person booked if we see that. So we see some light over there. But if our efforts in getting some share in the unreserved segment also succeed, then we will be a double gainer later. For this we have been trying.
Sure, ma'am. Thank you. And on the payment gateway side, the efforts that we were making, if you could help us with the progress that side so that eventually all payments go through iPay itself and we have to share less with the bank.
It will not be in the interest of industry and being selfish on the part of IRCTC if I put iPay. Firstly, it's not that iPay will not be handled the load. Why we have such a multiple solution? We take money from many of them. Transaction charges we share with them. Of course, our share in the iPay is more as compared to the other PGs. There is no doubt about it. But we have to see that the passenger is at ease. And we should not get greedy too. Gradually we are proliferating, but gradually we are increasing the lead and the forum, the place, etc. We are changing. And end of the day, we are a government company with 67% share of the government, where we have to ensure level playing for all our partners. If I have iPay, I have CTPG also. I have ICCI PG also. I have Razorpay also with me. I have to be fair to them. They are also giving me money. So I have to take everyone along in this digital journey of India.
Right, thank you. Just final point, will we eventually look to integrate all air ticketing, bus ticketing, railways?
Already there. There I can, because these are my businesses, there we have given preference to iPay.
Right, thank you. Thank you.
So that preferences are there. It's not that we are not giving preferences to iPay. In fact, we are going forward also in getting some licenses from RBI so that we can take this iPay for the other government agencies as a payment mode. Efforts are on. Maybe next year you'll hear that.
Right. Thank you. Thank you. I'll get back.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Manan from ICICI Securities. Please go ahead.
Hello, ma'am. My question is towards the capital expenditure across your IT infrastructure, across rail and the private routes that we are planning to to bid as and when the bidding gets started? And if any other areas I have missed, what will be our capital expenditure in these areas?
Yeah. This year we have spent around, we intended to spend 100 crores, but because of the restriction imposed and the second wave starting in the February itself, and we got reduced ourselves to 73 crores, but we have ordered, and this year we are planning to spend again around 90 to 100 crores in improving our infrastructure in internet ticketing. Because the tenders which we could not do the previous year, we would be doing this year.
And ma'am, for Rail Neer and other endeavors?
Rail Neer, we have 14, earlier we had 14 of plants operational, now we have Una plant has also been made operational. Bhusawal is going to be completed very soon, and Vijayawada is like, I think Vijayawada, NTPC में Simadri and Bhusawal shall be commissioned in this financial year. And the other two plants in Kota and Bhubaneswar will come up in the year 2022 and 23.
So these will be 20-25 crores kind of number or much less?
Less, they are lesser because they are the 72 plant is with the 70, I think there we have given them capital support of 8 crores each plant. So you can say 3 to we have already given the support because the machinery has been installed.
And 3 more, so 25.
21, 22. 22, 23, yes. I think only 16 crores will be the support.
Okay. And ma'am, for the private routes, as and when they come in, we were planning to have the rakes on our own books because it was a better IRR given 10-year depreciation. How does that work and what are we planning there?
It certainly works very nicely, provided we win a tender. And as of now, for running Tejas, we were given certain dispensation and certain handholding was done by Indian Railways. If we go for a private rake now, so one thing is getting them, first is getting them approved from RDSO and other railway official agencies will be a challenge for us. Yeah. One. Secondly, CRS sanction will also be a challenge for us. Thirdly, if I use those rakes and railway loses revenue, then the dispensation given to me will be withdrawn. I think I have been able to make myself very clear, sir, that we are, as of now, we are using the coaching stock of Indian Railways. It will be a real challenge for IRCTC to run with the private stock as of now. Because if we win a private train tender, then we'll have to get a sanction, separate sanction for those trains. Then there shall not be a problem. That will be a different story. This is going to be a different story. Yes, your point is well taken. That running with a private stock may be cheaper option as compared to Tejas.
So ma'am, as of now, we have no such plans and nothing budgeted for that endeavor, right?
Private train what we have to spend this year is first for winning the tender, we have to plan the BG, etc. For we have already provisioned around 60 crores, etc. we have reserved. Then in case we spend, then we are also looking for equity participation from our partner. 60%, 50% he would be doing, that we would be doing. So if you can say we have made an internal provision of around 400 crores and phase wise, year by year. In any case, if we win tender, say by September or so or October or so, 2-year time period is still there to start the operation. So the planning will be done by getting the best rates, because SPV will be there, they will be tendering it out, and the best rates of the rolling stock provider will be taken, then the provisioning will be made in the next financial year.
Thank you so much, ma'am. My last question, who will be these typical partners that we would have?
I cannot disclose as of now, sir.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Get to win a tender.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Mayank Babla from Dalal & Broacha. Please go ahead.
Thank you for taking my question. Congratulations on a good set of numbers, ma'am and sir. Ma'am, you have given us the number for FY21 in non-convenience. Could you give the same for the quarter, the non-convenience income, and same number?
Hello, sir. This is the operator. What's your company name? Hello? Hello? Sir, what's your company name, sir? Hello?
Convenience fee is 150 crores.
Okay. Convenience fee was around 150 crores, quarter 4.
Okay.
So, just wait for a while.
Yeah.
What is your name?
Number of figures. No, 1 quarter.
I'm sorry, I don't have these figures readily available with me. You give me some time, I'll get you.
Sure, ma'am. And just one more, if I could squeeze in, the rail near capacity as of date?
Rail near capacity earlier, with 14 plants, we had around 14.08 lakhs per day.
Okay.
With the new plants coming up this financial year, 4 plants are added, so it will be around 16 lakhs per day. But the demand, if the COVID continues, then the demand will be less, so the production level will maybe not be there. The capacity utilization of the plant may not be of the top notch. The COVID is actually affecting this business, catering, and rail near is an extended catering.
Right. Okay, ma'am. Thanks. I'll just wait for the number of tickets whenever in the Q4, whenever you get the number. Thank you.
You can note it down, sir.
Oh, okay.
You can. So in the month of January, we had around 281, and in February 298 lakhs, and in March it is 319. So you can now combine 3 to 5, 7, around 8, 9 something.
Sure, ma'am. I'll do the reverse calculation.
Please.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, and good luck for the next year.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Niket Shah from Motilal Oswal Mutual Fund. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thanks for the opportunity. Ma'am, just one question. Wanted to understand what will be the peak revenues given the fact that we go back to pre-COVID levels and, adding the new trains which will also come on board. If you just take that into consideration plus the 2S benefit, what can be the peak revenues that we can generate? Because it's very difficult to bisect and dissect in a COVID period, because the trains will, there are multiple trains starting up at a higher point and then it kind of shuts off and again starts off. So it's very difficult to dissect that. So would it be possible for you to give us some sense of what can be the peak revenues that one should assuming everything goes back to normal?
Assuming everything goes to normal will not be that hope everything goes to normal fast. Till that we personally feel, because we are in a hospitality sector, we are the worst affected. And tourism inbound may not happen because still the visa restrictions are there, sir. And
that's fine. Ma'am, I'm just trying to understand on the transactional ticket part of it, ma'am.
Only the ticketing part you said?
Yeah.
Ticketing will grow the way it is growing.
No, what can be the peak revenues for that, ma'am? Or if you can just tell me how many will be the peak tickets?
Peak ticket volume. We have already achieved 80%.
No, ma'am, my question was, assuming all the trains go back to full utilization, the way it was earlier in pre-COVID levels, what can be the peak revenues or peak ticket sales, whichever number you want to give it? Because it will include 2S, right?
Last year, our total revenue from internet ticketing segment was around 619 crores.
Sure, yeah.
Right? Out of which 58% was from the convenience fee. So that was around 349 crores. So you can say if we go back to previous volume, and then we would be earning around 360 to 400 crores from the convenience fee.
Last year it started from September only.
And this was, sorry, you can say 349 was there because we started in the September 19. So you can take out the average for the month and then multiply by the 12.
Okay, got it. Okay, ma'am. I'll come back into it. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Dhruva Mukherjee from Malabar Investments. Please go ahead.
Hello, ma'am. Good afternoon.
A very good afternoon.
So, ma'am, has the share of bookings coming from our B2C partners gone up over time? And how high do you see it going?
Well, if I share the exact figure with you, the bookings with our B2C partners are really doing very, very well. So I can say that, our B2C partner bookings earlier were around 14%. Now they are around 17% bookings are happening to our B2C partner as a normal user. There the revenue, we have additional revenue also.
Exactly. And do we mind it going as high as possible? I mean, how do you feel about transforming from a B2C company to B2B?
Why should I stop? Tell me one reason. If I'm getting 12 rupees per ticket more, why should I stop them?
No reason to stop, but do we want to remain the first place that a customer goes to?
Actually, you have to be, like we have a various kind of booking patterns. We have a B2B partners, we have a e-governance team also, we have G2G partners also, then we have a normal user booking also. So we have provided multiple channels. So it is going to be survival of the fittest. But whosoever is going to present the booking in the fastest manner and the nicest manner and give the facility to the customer, so he will drive away the business. And for the customer, life is going to be mine. So I'm going to be benefited by more of B2C partners as compared to B2B, but still B2B is a gainer for me because still I get the convenience fee.
Yeah. And currently, what share of bookings would be coming from offline agents?
Offline agent now is going less. It is around, these are generally, I think, offline agent we have only in the internet cafe scheme. They are around to the tune of 3% only. Then you have a government G2G business, where you have many facilitation centers of the state government. There the booking is not even 1%. Then you have, most of the bookings are happening online only. Even in the government sector also, where the forces that we have tied up, they are online. Offline we don't do. But railways that do is around 20%. Still they are doing 20% because 80% is online.
Okay. So people getting agent ID on IRCTC and booking is a very
yeah. So from 72% the journey has been up to 80%. Maybe next time when we talk, we have traveled further.
Yeah, we would have. Okay, ma'am. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Ashish Agarwal from Principal India. Please go ahead.
Yeah, my questions have been answered. Thanks a lot.
Can I answer the questions that how many trains are running as of now on Indian Railways? So it is around 1,500 trains are running. I think, hello? Many of you had asked, I think Urmil had asked, and after Urmil from Dolat Capital had asked someone had asked that how many trains are running on the Indian Railway setup where the bookings are happening. There are around 1,500 mail express trains. And suburban services are also there, passenger trains are also there, but they are in the unreserved segment. That is happening mainly in the western region.
Thank you. Due to the time constraint, this was the last question for today. I would now like to hand the conference over to IRCTC management for closing comments.
Thank you very much, all of you. It has been a really brainstorming session. The year has been very difficult. Then initially we were not doing very well in the first quarter because IRCTC had shown loss in the first quarter, but gradually we improved in the second quarter, then third quarter we improved further, and in the last quarter we improved further. And put together, I think we have been able to bestow your confidence of ours and declare the dividend of around 50%, rupees 5 at the face value of rupees 10. And this after this pandemic also, rather pandemic is still continuing. As I have been mentioning every time that hospitality sector has been worse affected and the tourism is going to take some time to take off, especially the inbound tourism, because many of the air traffic restrictions are still not open. So our few traffic will take some time to cope up with the changing environment. Secondly, the catering pattern is also changing. The segmental profit pattern is also changing. This pandemic has affected each and every corner of our eating habits also. The market though will decide who lives in this market for long, but we hope that these things will change. And by saying so, I wish you all the best, everyone, for the coming year, and stay safe, stay healthy. May the COVID not take over over you, and you should all stay healthy and fit. Thank you very much, investors. Thank you very much. Once again, a very good afternoon.
Thank you. On behalf of ICICI Securities Limited, that concludes this conference. Thank you for joining us, and you may now disconnect your lines.